There are relationships where you think that simply walking away is enough to set yourself free, but the truth is far more complex. Escaping a narcissist isn't just about leaving a person, it's about untangling yourself from a psychological web intricately woven from their manipulation and your own goodness. They latch onto your kindness, your empathy, your deep desire to do what's right, and twist those very qualities into chains that bind you. And the worst part? There are moments when you start believing you are the problem, that if only you could be more patient, more forgiving, everything would eventually be okay. But today we're here to shine a light on one crucial truth. You cannot heal a toxic relationship by sacrificing yourself. In this video, we will explore the unmistakable, powerful signs that you've truly broken free from the narcissist's grip. Not by playing their games, but by standing firm, becoming clear, and no longer allowing their manipulation to shape your reality. This is the journey of reclaiming yourself, the quiet yet profound victory. But you've ever felt trapped in a cycle of hope and heartbreak, of promises made and broken? I invite you to stay with me until the end of this video, because what you're about to hear could be the turning point that helps you realize you deserve so much more. And don't forget to hit subscribe to join me on this journey back to yourself, a place where truth, peace, and self-respect are restored. Part 1, Escaping the Invisible Web. There's a truth that few are willing to acknowledge. Leaving a narcissist is not just about ending a relationship. It is a challenging journey of rediscovering yourself after being trapped in a psychological maze where every step you took was monitored, every emotion twisted, and even your best intentions were weaponized as tools of control. Those who've never walked this path might easily ask, why not just leave? Just walk away and be done. But for anyone who has been ensnared in that cycle of manipulation, they know it's so much more complicated than that. Escaping a narcissist feels like trying to break free from an invisible net, a net woven from your own kindness, your empathy, your deep longing to be loved and accepted. The narcissist doesn't attack you head on. No, they move quietly, subtly, slipping into your softest vulnerabilities. They make you believe that if only you were a little more patient, if only you loved a little harder, things would finally get better. They turn your goodness into the very rope that binds you tighter, convincing you to stay willingly in the trap they've set. But what's truly frightening? It's when you start to believe the problem is you, that you're not good enough, that if you could just try a little harder, they would finally change. So you keep giving, keep enduring, keep forgiving, until there's nothing left inside you but exhaustion and a lingering doubt about your own worth. And yet, there comes a moment, a critical, life-altering moment, when you suddenly see it for what it is. This isn't love. This is manipulation. This isn't building something together. This is destruction. And in that moment, something remarkable happens. You stop. You stop trying to please them. You stop seeking validation from someone who never intended to give it, not because you become cold or hardened, but because you start to remember who you are. You begin to ask yourself, what do I truly deserve? What is left of me after all these sacrifices? And it is in that very moment that you begin your journey toward freedom, not by defeating the narcissist at their own game, but by refusing to play that game any longer. Because you will never win in a game designed for you to lose. They are masters at leading you through endless cycles of hope and despair. But here's the truth. You don't have to play by their rules. The only thing you need to do is step away. No. It's not easy. It takes courage. It demands that you face your deepest fears. The fear of being alone, the fear of making the wrong choice, the fear that maybe, just maybe, you truly weren't enough. But here's what you need to understand. The trap the narcissist sets isn't about causing you temporary pain. It's about keeping you forever doubting yourself. And when you break free from that cycle of doubt, you reclaim the most precious thing of all, yourself. In today's video, we're going to uncover the clear signs that you've truly stepped out of that labyrinth. Not through confrontation, not through arguments or revenge, but by standing firm on your own foundation, steadfast and unshaken by the tricks they once used to keep you tethered. That is the real victory. So if you find yourself standing at the threshold of awakening, if you feel that quiet voice within you whispering, I deserve more than this, I invite you to stay with me until the end of this video. Together, we will walk through each sign, each step on this journey back to yourself. And if what I share today resonates with your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because on this path of healing, You are not alone. Yep, there is so much more for us to explore together about truth, about worth, and about how to reclaim peace in a world that once felt so chaotic. Part 2. When you stop reacting, your power begins. Something strange happens. When you pause and truly begin to see the dynamics of your relationship with a narcissist, you realize they never really needed your love. What they craved was control. They don't live in a world where genuine connection exists. They inhabit a world of strategy, where every word, every action is calculated to achieve one single goal: to make you react exactly the way they want. They manipulate your emotions like a master puppeteer, pulling strings, loosening, tightening, jerking them back, doing whatever it takes to make you dance to the rhythm they choose. But then something happens, something that seems small, yet holds immense power. You stop reacting. You no longer get angry, no longer explain yourself, no longer strive to please them. And in that moment, their power begins to dissolve. This is the turning point that so many don't talk about. It's a quiet shift, but one of incredible strength. When you stop allowing them to dictate how you feel, you refuse to let your emotional state rise and fall with the storms they create. Not because you've become cold, not because you've stopped caring, but because you finally recognize that your care has been exploited for far too long. A narcissist manipulates by turning the most beautiful parts of you, your kindness, your empathy, your longing to be loved, into tools for their control. They latch onto the vulnerabilities you never imagined could be used against you. And they know exactly how to make you feel guilty for setting boundaries, making you question whether you're being too harsh, too cold, too unkind. But here's the truth. The moment you begin to stand still in the face of the emotional waves they send crashing toward you, that is the moment they feel the most afraid. Because a narcissist's true power doesn't lie in how strong they are. It lies in how effectively they can provoke a reaction from you. When they can no longer control your emotions, they lose the most important thing to them: control itself. You begin to see this clearly when they tried every tactic to pull you back into the old arena. One day they criticize, blame, and make you feel like you're the one at fault. The next, they turn warm, apologetic, even offering an apology. But there you stand, watching, no longer swept away. You begin to understand that none of this comes from genuine affection. It's all just tools, emotional levers they use to keep you spinning in that familiar cycle. And here's the most incredible part. When you stop reacting, you don't just reclaim control over your emotions, you begin to reclaim yourself. Little by little, you start to remember who you were before you got caught in their web of manipulation. You remember that you once had a voice, needs, dreams, and boundaries, and now piece by piece, you start rebuilding those things. And the truth is, a narcissist isn't just afraid of losing you. They fear losing their ability to control you. They dread losing the mirror that reflects the image they need to prop up their fragile ego. When you stand still, without reacting, without arguing, without trying to fix things, they come face to face with what they fear most: a person who is no longer under their control. And then they may explode, they might hurl the cruelest words at you, or they may fall silent, retreat, hoping you'll be scared enough to come running back. But what about you? You remain there, quiet, steady, observing, and no longer afraid. You realize that you are not responsible for their emotions. You don't need to patch up their fragile self-esteem or absorb their rage. Your only responsibility is to yourself, to your peace, your dignity, and the wholeness of your soul. Let me tell you this, it's not easy, but it's worth it. And if you are on this journey, if you can feel these shifts happening within you, then stay with me until the end of this video. Together, we'll dive deeper into the unmistakable signs that you have truly taken back control from the narcissist. These signs may not be loud or dramatic, but they are powerful milestones on your path back to yourself. And if what I'm sharing resonates with you, if you see yourself reflected in these words, don't forget to subscribe and join me on this journey. There's so much more for us to explore together. Deeper lessons, powerful strategies that will help you rebuild your life on a foundation of truth and peace. Part 3, when the storm no longer shakes you. Perhaps one of the most memorable moments on your journey of breaking free from a narcissist's grip is when you stand face to face with their emotional storm and remain unmoved. In that moment, you might even surprise yourself, because once upon a time, just a furrowed brow, a cold criticism, or a prolonged silence from them was enough to send your mind spiraling, your heart tightening with fear, guilt, and the haunting sense that you must have done something wrong. You used to scramble to calm those emotional waves in any way you could, apologizing for things you didn't do, giving in to unreasonable demands, all in the desperate hope of keeping the peace. But now, when they erupt in anger, when they try to stir guilt within you, when they turn their back and freeze you out, you remain still. No longer do you rush to soothe them. No longer do you shrink from the fear of being abandoned. No longer do you try to fix something that was never yours to fix. You stand there, facing the storm, feeling its noise and fury, and you remain grounded. This is not emotional numbness. This is emotional maturity, a steadiness that comes from within, from knowing deep down that you are no longer responsible for the anger, the insecurities, or the emotional chaos that the narcissist tries to unload onto you. And that is one of the most powerful signs that you are reclaiming ownership over your life. A narcissist manipulates by making you believe that you are the source of every problem. They wield intense emotions like weapons, tools to disorient you, to make you feel like you need to make things right. But the moment you stand firm in the face of that storm without flinching, they realize their sharpest weapon no longer works. And for them, that is the greatest fear, because a narcissist doesn't know what to do when they can't control someone else's emotions. When you no longer bend, no longer react the way they expect, they lose the mirror they depend on to uphold their fragile sense of self. They might try different tactics, crying, begging, exploding in rage, or retreating into cold silence. But you see all of it for what it is, as if you're watching a play unfold before your eyes. And the most incredible thing, you no longer feel any desire to step back onto that stage. Instead of rushing to fix things, you let the storm pass. Instead of arguing to be understood, you choose silence. Not because you don't care, but because you've come to understand that arguing with someone who has no intention of truly listening is simply a waste of your precious energy. You've learned how to protect your peace. And it's in doing this that you begin to feel your power more clearly. You realize that peace doesn't come from everything being calm on the outside. It comes from no longer allowing someone else's emotional waves to disturb your inner world. Here's the interesting thing. When they see that their anger, their coldness, or their emotional manipulations no longer work on you, they start to panic. They grow uneasy when they realize they no longer have control over you. And that's when they may escalate their behavior, doing everything they can to pull you back into your old role. They might explode with even more intensity. They might retreat completely, or they might return with the same sweetness that once drew you in at the start. You've stepped into a new chapter, one where you recognize that these behaviors are just tactics, not genuine love. This is a crucial milestone in the healing journey, when you no longer feel the need to control or change the narcissist. You no longer feel the urge to argue for validation. You only need to stand firm on your own foundation, and that is enough to change everything. And if you're on this journey, if you've started to notice the difference in how you respond to these emotional storms, stay with me until the end of this video. Together, we'll explore even deeper the unmistakable signs that you've truly broken free from that cycle of manipulation and are steadily rebuilding a strong foundation for yourself. The URL is being to find value in what I've shared. Don't forget to subscribe so we can continue this journey together. Every week, I'll bring you deeper insights and practical strategies to help you stay on your path of healing, reclaim your power, and live fully aligned with your true worth. Part 4, the cracks in the mask, and you see the truth. There's a hard truth that not everyone is ready to face. A narcissist doesn't live in the same reality as you. They exist behind a carefully crafted mask, an image of charm, confidence, even nobility. But here's the thing, that mask isn't just for the world around them, it's also for themselves. They wear it every day, convincing themselves that if they perform well enough, for long enough, maybe they'll eventually believe in that image too. That if enough people admire them, trust them, praise them, perhaps the emptiness inside will finally be filled. But here's what they don't anticipate. The mask is fragile, and the moment you stop feeding it, the cracks begin to show. When you no longer reflect back the image they want to see, when you stop applauding the performance they've staged, the mask starts to fracture. Bit by bit, that glossy facade begins to crumble. You'll notice this in what seem like irrational reactions. They become more sensitive, more irritable, nitpicking at the smallest things. They tell you that you're not supportive anymore, that you have changed, that you are the problem. But beneath those accusations lies their deepest fear. The fear that you've seen behind the mask, an amplification. And then something strange unfolds. They can no longer maintain the calm composure they once did. They slip more easily out of character, exposing the shadows they've worked so hard to hide. You begin to see the gaps in their stories, the distortions in the truths they tell, the words that no longer match their actions. And when you stop ignoring these signs, when you look them straight in the eye, the mask begins to shatter completely. But be careful, because this is often the moment the narcissist plays their final card. They become the victim. They'll tell others that you were the one who hurt them, that you were ungrateful, unloving, unkind. They'll cry, they'll lament, spinning a narrative in which you are the cruel one and they are the wounded party. And sadly, sometimes the outside world believes them, because narcissists are masters at crafting the perfect victim story. So how do you keep yourself from getting pulled back into that spiral? How do you resist the pull of sympathy that tries to draw you back into the same old play? The answer is this. Remember that what you are witnessing is not genuine suffering. It is the fear of being exposed. When the mask crumbles, they have nowhere left to hide. And the emptiness inside them, the emptiness they spent their entire lives denying, now stands in full view. That's not easy for anyone to face, but for a narcissist, it feels catastrophic. But hear this clearly. You are not responsible for saving them from that feeling. They are the ones who built that mask, and only they can choose to remove it. It's not your role to patch it back together. Your job is to protect yourself, to ensure that you are not pulled back into that web of manipulation. When you stop feeling their mask, you're not just doing it for yourself. It's the most honest act you can offer them. You're saying, I'm no longer willing to be part of this performance. And that, my friend, is a declaration of emotional maturity, self-respect, and integrity. Now, here's what's crucial to remember. The collapse of their mask is not your fault. It's the inevitable result of a system built on illusion. You simply stopped playing the role you were given. You didn't cause the collapse. You just refused to keep it going. Let me make this clear. That act, the courage to stand still while everything crumbles around you, is one of the clearest signs that you've reclaimed your power. When you are no longer the one holding up the mask, you've stepped out of the role you were cast in and you've returned to being yourself. And if what I've shared today resonates with something deep within you, if you recognize that you're beginning to step out of that manipulative cycle, stay with me. In the next part of this video, we'll explore even more powerful signs that you are well on your way to reclaiming your freedom. In the Purpose Chat. And if you're ready to continue this journey, the journey of rebuilding a life rooted in truth and peace, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a lesson, because you deserve it. You deserve a life free from manipulation, a life where you can simply be yourself. Part 5, Peace, the ultimate sign of freedom. Perhaps one of the most profound and rewarding signs that you've truly broken free from a narcissist's control is when you begin to experience peace. Not the temporary quiet, the artificial calm you once clung to within that toxic relationship, where you silenced your emotions, avoided conflict, and sacrificed your own needs just to keep things smooth. No, this is something entirely different. This is a deeper, genuine peace, a quiet that comes from no longer living in fear. Think back to that time when you lived in a constant state of tension, always scanning their expressions, their tone of voice, the smallest gestures, just to avoid triggering their anger, just to sidestep yet another meaningless fight. You called it keeping the peace, but in reality, it was you suppressing yourself, suffocating your own emotions and needs, just to survive in an environment where love was bartered for submission. And the painful part, you didn't even realize how accustomed you had become to it. But then, when you finally escape, truly escape, something miraculous happens. At first, it feels unfamiliar. The stillness of a day without tension feels strange. You no longer find yourself wondering what you did wrong. You no longer tiptoe through conversations carefully measuring every word. And that quiet, it can be unsettling at first because your mind has been conditioned to expect the next storm, to stay on high alert. You might even ask yourself, is this real peace or just a calm before another storm? But day by day, that peace becomes familiar. No more waking up in the morning with a vague sense of dread. No more sleepless nights blaming yourself for an argument that wasn't even your fault. And in those moments, you begin to realize, this is what I deserve. A life that isn't dictated by someone else's emotional state. A life where you can simply be yourself where you don't have to manage every step you take just to maintain a fragile stability in a relationship that's been broken for a long time. This peace, you didn't get it because someone else changed. You found it because you changed. You stopped accepting the things that once hurt you. You set boundaries and you honored them. You came to understand that love should never mean sacrificing yourself. True love comes with safety, mutual respect, and space for you to be yourself, with all your imperfections, with all your genuine needs and emotions. And let me emphasize this: the peace you're feeling is the greatest victory of all on this journey. Not a victory over the narcissist, because this was never a battle against them. It's a victory over yourself, a return to your whole self, a restoration of the parts of you that had been hidden beneath layers of fear and self-doubt. It's the moment you realize you no longer need to prove anything. You no longer need someone else to validate your worth. And here's the beautiful thing: as that peace grows within you, you stop caring about what the narcissist is doing, thinking, or saying about you. The things that once kept you up at night, that once made you desperate to explain yourself, simply lose their importance. Their silence, their anger, even their performances with a new supply no longer wound you. You remain outside of all those games. And that is freedom. I know that reaching this point has been a long journey. It's been a path of breaking down, of questioning your worth, of wondering whether you were the one at fault. It's been a journey of facing loneliness, of letting go of the illusion that you could somehow fix them. But in the end, the reward is the most precious thing of all: a return to yourself, to truth, to a life no longer governed by fear. And if you're somewhere along this path, if you're beginning to feel those faint glimmers of peace within you, I invite you to stay with me until the end of this video. Together, we will continue exploring the key milestones on this healing journey so you can better understand the freedom you are building for yourself. If what I've shared today has resonated with you, if you feel something within you awakening, don't forget to subscribe and join me on this journey. We'll be talking much more about how to hold on to that peace, how to build a life that is truly your own, free from the pull of any manipulative cycle, because you deserve peace. You deserve a life where you are in control, where you decide your worth and the direction of your life. And then, as you look back on the entire journey, from those hopeful beginnings through the moments where you lost yourself in the maze of manipulation to the awakening that finally came, you realize a simple yet powerful truth: freedom doesn't come from the narcissist changing. It comes from you changing. No one else has the right to define who you become, and walking away from them in the end isn't just an escape from pain, it's a return to yourself. Because what you reclaim isn't just control over your emotions, it's the rebuilding of your identity. It's the courageous act of looking inward and listening to yourself with absolute honesty. It's asking, who am I when no one else is pulling the strings? What kind of life do I want to live, built on what values? And from those questions, you begin to lay down a new foundation, a solid ground that no longer crumbles under the old tactics. You become a steadier person, a soul more anchored, no longer needing someone else to validate your worth, no longer chasing the approval of those who are never willing to give it freely. You understand now that true love is never a trade between emotion and control. Love is not something you have to earn by sacrificing yourself. And that is the greatest victory. Not a victory over the narcissist, but a victory over the wounds, the doubts, the chains that once held you captive. You've overcome the most insidious trap of all, the belief that your worth depends on someone else's approval. You've done that, and no one can ever take that away from you. If what I've shared today has touched your heart, if you recognize that you're on the journey back to yourself, don't forget to subscribe and continue walking this path with me. Together we will explore more about healing, about building a healthy, joyful life, one where you are no longer caught in the old cycles of manipulation. Keep walking on this path of truth, peace, and self-respect, because you deserve it, and this journey, this is for you.